Lakers head coach Frank Vogel already said he thought LeBron was taken for granted earlier this week. And now Kareem Abdul-Jabbar is saying the same thing, but he's taking it off the court. Kareem said, quote, "What LeBron James is doing off the court far outweighs what he's doing on the court. LeBron is standing on all of our shoulders. He's standing on Jackie Robinson's shoulders. He's standing on Jesse Owens' shoulders. He has a conscience and a heart, and he is setting the example for generations to come." Wow. Shannon, how does LeBron compare to other trailblazers of racial justice who came before him, like Ali, Bill Russell, Jackie Robinson?
Skip is different. In the 60s, the civil rights movement in the 60s is different. And although we think, and sometimes we see some things that remind us of the 60s, Skip, the 60s, it was like this every single day. And the athletes did not have, they were still segregated. Even athletes sometimes were traveling segregated, slept in different hotels room. But for Kareem to say this, I give a lot of credence to guys that were in that era. Kareem was a 20-year-old at UCLA when they had the summit in support of Muhammad Ali in 1967 in Cleveland, Ohio. And some of the greats, Jim Brown was there, Bill Russell was there, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, Lenny Mitchell was there. So, Skip, for him to say this, I think the thing is that what LeBron is doing is that, Skip, when you play on the court, that's really for you. But Kareem says what he's doing for his community. See, I believe a lot of guys before LeBron was morally conscious. Skip, they knew that they should speak out. They knew they should do and say more. But they didn't want to take that hit from the endorsers. It's hard for me to believe that as big as LeBron James is, Michael Jordan was not just as big, even though there was no social media back then.
Agreed.
But he was unwilling to take that ding that LeBron James is willing to take. Before LeBron James was willing to move free agent, guys weren't willing to take that. LeBron took all that heat, Skip. He took all that. They beat bashing him. And then those guys like, okay, Kevin Durant said, it's okay. Anthony Davis said, it's okay. LeBron James stepped out and spoke out against Trayvon Martin. Got on the campaign, got with Hillary Clinton in Ohio. Other guys are starting to see, well, hell, so what if I lose a few followers? So what if I lose a few dollars? But I know in my heart of hearts, this is the right thing to do. And I think when it's all said and done, Skip, he will be looked favorably. Skip, I'm not going to say he's Jackie. I mean, what Jackie Robinson had to go through, I was reading excerpts and how Brad said, look, we don't have an army. We can't fight this thing every day. You're going to have to let a lot of stuff go, Jackie. And he did. So, Skip, I don't want to say that. Ali gave up 3 years prime of his career to fight for what he believed in. But I believe LeBron is fighting for what he believes in. And even though he might lose some followers, he might lose some fans, and maybe an endorser or two might say, you know what, this is too much heat for us to take. But for what he's doing, Skip, I do believe when we look back 30, 40 years from now, I believe he will be looked upon favorably for the things that he did off the court.
I think it's now.
Yeah. But even
it's not going to take 30 years.
Even more so. Even more so.
Look, I have long saluted LeBron James when it comes to crusading for racial justice. Never in the history of sports have we had an athlete as outspoken on all these issues as LeBron James. Never. The time has been different, but he still exhibited huge courage to take the stands that he started taking. What? How far back do we go?
Well, you go to Trayvon Martin. So that was 2012? I think 2012. 2013.
Okay. And even before then, he was already showing you.
Eric Garner, I can't breathe.
Yes. He was showing you just raw courage and angry courage on social media. So I don't want to overstate. Look, he came to us in a little more enlightened time because obviously starting in January of 2009, we did have our first black president for 2 terms. 2009 to 2017, we had Barack Obama. Can you imagine a black president in the 50s or 60s? No, it was impossible. So the reason this is slippery slope, I'm going to say it again. Do we have a million miles to go? Yes. You know that better than anybody. Do we still have enormous issues when it comes to white cops and black people? Yes, we do. So I don't want to overstate that the times are so much easier now, because they're not that much easier.
Right.
But the point was, I don't think, to my knowledge, that LeBron lost any endorsements over his stances. I don't think so, because it's...
You might get crushed by the fans for pulling the endorsement. They might boycott you for boycotting him.
Correct. So has he lost social followers? Maybe, but look how many, you always tell me how many he has.
Yeah,
I lose track.
I think he's like 70 million on IG. Close.
So, did he lose 7,000? Maybe, maybe, but he has 70 million.
Right.
It just shows you the times, they are a change.
Right.
He came at the right time, but he's still right on time with his messages.
Right.
So did he risk as much as Muhammad Ali? No.
No.
Because,
nobody did.
My God, that's 1967 to 1970. It was really 4 years, from 25 to 29. He could not fight.
Yeah.
Because he took a stance.
Yeah.
I will not go. I got no quarrel with them, Viet Cong.
Right.
Okay. So you're a draft dodger, and there were a lot of black people in those days who were down on Muhammad Ali.
Yes, because a lot of people said, hold on, wait a minute.
Yep.
Just because you fight, that don't mean you exempt. I had to go over there and risk my life.
They did.
Skip, people don't realize that, that a lot of people in the black community was out on Muhammad Ali because they like athletes, but they don't want them to get the benefit. Hold on, I put my life, I came back limbless. I put myself in harm's way. And now you saying you don't want to. Well, I didn't believe it, but he was like, I don't care. Take the boxing away. I'm not going. I'm not.
Bill Russell, from 1957 to 1969 in Boston, Massachusetts. Did you have any, because I don't, but do you have any idea the racial hate he withstood, that he felt that he had to fight back against?
Think about that, Skip. They won the title, what, 8 years in a row. And the vitriol that they're spewing towards him, he's the greatest winner in team sports. And this is what he's having to go through as a black man, that everybody knows who he is. So if Bill Russell is going through that in Boston, what chance do a black guy that's not named Bill Russell or does not play sports have to?
Did LeBron have to go through anything the way Jackie Robinson did from 1957 to 47? Oh, I'm sorry, 47 to 56. That range. No, obviously not. Jim Brown, trailblazer.
Yes.
So courageous. And then John Carlos, Tommy Smith.
68 Olympics.
Medal stand at the 68 Olympics. Black glove, one raised right hand, one left fist, left fist, right fist. They lost everything.
They got sent home, Skip.
They didn't have that much to lose, but they lost it all.
Because they were amateurs. So you got sent, and they got sent home.
Their careers
was over.
Were over. Kareem had to fight through a lot in his freshman year at UCLA. It was just different then. But that doesn't take anything away from, well, I even thought of Doug Williams.
Yes.
He broke through.
Yes.
I got to know him when he was at Grambling before he got drafted. He was a trailblazer, but he was not an outspoken trailblazer, in part because he couldn't be.
No.
Or he wouldn't have lasted.
There was only a handful of them. And you get Joe Gilliam and you got Shaq Harris. Skip, there were only a handful of them. And they were looking for, first of all, they didn't really want blacks because they didn't think they had the mental makeup. They can't think on their feet. So they didn't really want the black playing quarterback to begin with. You speak up.
The Nets have signed Hall of Fame point guard Steve Nash to a 4-year deal to become the next head coach of Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving. Since retiring, Nash worked with KD and the Warriors as a consultant during their finals runs, but hasn't done any official coaching. Chris Broussard is still with us. Chris, I want to know, what do you make of this? What do you make of this hire?
Well, I thought Greg Popovich would have been the ultimate hire, the ultimate win. But I have to be honest, considering their ages, you know, Pop and Steve Nash, this might even be better. Look, Steve Nash has a great relationship with Kevin Durant. I don't know when or how it started, but it started when KD was in Oklahoma City. He used to talk basketball and strategy with Nash. He even talked about Golden State and the way they played their offense and how much KD liked it when KD was still in OKC. Obviously, that continued when KD went to Golden State. Nash was a consultant. So that's a great start for these two guys. He's going to have KD's respect. And I think Steve Nash is probably one of the few people on the planet that Kyrie Irving thinks can actually tell him something about playing point guard. So I think Kyrie will listen to Nash. I think he'll soak up what he tells him like a sponge. So obviously it's a great fit with the two stars. And Nash is one of the most, or has been involved with the most innovative and productive offenses we've seen in